All right, I'm good to go.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, ready. I'm ready.
Here we go. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of awesome stuff going on in the real estate world. Very, very interesting marketplace right now. Some crazy stuff with interest rates, the bond market, sales kind of declined a little bit in terms of new pending deals going under contract. Saw about a 10% drop week over week as rates climbed up. We'll talk about that. Also going through the shoulder season. But we also have the brand new micro market numbers in from last month, and they're very, very interesting, right? So we got what happened last month, what closed per zip code per area, which is always interesting, where you see some areas down, some areas up, and we'll dig into how your area did and how it stacked up over and over. We had last week's show, just did not get time to get to it, but I've gotten this question like 3 more times this week, and it's the number one question I get really besides how's the market. And that question is right now is like, hey, should I rent my house or not, right? If my house hasn't sold, should I rent it or should I not rent it? I'll talk about that, the ups and downs on that, where in some cases it makes sense, some cases it doesn't make sense. We had that last week's show, just didn't get a chance to get to it all. Huge news, interest rate, the bond market. We'll talk about kind of what happened with that. The Treasury tried to help out with the bond market this past week. It did not move the needle at all. So there's some challenges, I think, long-term. I was talking to our preferred lender last night, Randy Privet, and we were just talking about what they were seeing long-term. So we'll kind of talk about that today. I do think it's going to be a tumultuous Q4 for real estate unless something changes pretty quickly. And so that's something we'll talk about too. But the good news is, and we kind of mentioned it last week briefly, just ran out of time, is this. If you're selling a luxury home right now is one of the best times in a very, very long time to sell luxury homes. There's that K economy everybody's talking about. You're seeing that happen here. I was at a Realtor event last night, and same thing that they were talking about as well, where the luxury high-end properties moving like crazy. Lots and lots of big money coming here. The good news is, even with higher interest rates and things going on, we're very, very well insulated. We're seeing a lot of cash deals come in, a lot of people from up north, different areas with higher average sale prices who are coming here and moving. And it's great news for most home sellers here. For home buyers, there'll be some opportunities, but you want to time that right so that rates don't go up too much, because the number one mismanaged variable for most buyers is interest rate. So it ends up costing you more, much more so than price in many cases. So we'll talk about that today, what to look for. We'll dig into the Fed futures. They were covered pretty well last week, but as we've seen this challenge of the bond market, we'll kind of see what happens going forward with that. Our investment fund has still been buying property. We just closed on one this week. Signed the paperwork this week on Thursday. Recorded on Friday. We put another one under contract. And so that's a large investment fund we have with millions of dollars. We buy properties cash, fair, easily. We've seen a lot of mailers out. Obviously, you've seen some of the billboards and stuff about cash offers. We able to buy anything cash. Obviously, we're really good at multiple different things. Our best thing is helping you get top dollar selling it traditionally with our marketing advertising. We have a maximum convenience option where the investment fund can come buy out your property, cash, easy. We'll talk about that. So anything out there. We're also looking for some businesses right now, right? Service-based businesses. There's a lot of retirees, baby boomers who are retiring, and we're looking to purchase those businesses in many cases overall as well. So talk about that. Lots of great stuff. Some amazing success stories. Our team's been pushing super hard. I've been on our team heavily to make sure we go to that finish line, right, where everybody's kind of been grinding hard all summer. We grind hard year round, but overall we push very, very hard in terms of what to do. So make sure to stay tuned. Lots and lots of great stuff. If you want to come back and watch any of these shows, we stream them doing this 15 plus years. They're on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. You can also search me and find me on Facebook at Blake Sloan to follow me there. Also follow us at Sloan Realty Group, but lots and lots of stuff on today's show.
For any of the listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid, been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment. All of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and we can go into how they work, Blake.
Yes, Rick. This is why I do the whole show. Like I said, this is my biggest challenge I run into. It's The biggest mistake that consumers make over and over and over, thinking that all agents are the same. That's it. They look at real estate agents as a commodity, and it could not be anything, further than the truth. It just makes or breaks everything. They had a massive situation happen this week, where you see this happen. Where here's the problem: everyone just looked at realtors all the same, and they look at them just as commodity. And I get why sometimes, where a lot of them are similar, right? If you look at the mathematics of it and the data, the average agent sells less than 4 homes a year in our marketplace, which is terrible. Probably worse than that. I actually saw a screenshot last night. I'll pull it up in a second here and go over. It's like 80+% of agents in the United States has not sold a house so far this year, which is crazy right now. True fact, 84% of realtors did not sell a single property from January 1st to July 6th, 2026. Think about that, right? 84%. So 8.5 out of 10 agents haven't sold a house nationally between January and July. That's why it matters. Think about this. This is your largest, this is not a yard sale they're handling for you. This is your largest asset that you have on the planet. This is a perfect example of this, right? There's 100+ variables that makes or breaks a home sale. 100+ for one person to manage. So if each one's handled correctly, right, it puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, for example, price, photos, photo quality, order the photos. Does the agent answer the phone when somebody calls it, right? Which 50% of the time they don't nationally. Do they respond to web leads? They spend any money for marketing? They run any ads online? Do they make any phone calls to other buyers similar to try to tell the buyers about it, match them? All those things matter. And so if each one's handled correctly, puts money in your pocket, right? Anything's incorrectly, it costs you money, hard-earned equity. It happens all the time. For example, my street this week, there's a guy, I live on the waterway, right? Nice house on the waterway. A couple different types. There's some with double lot, some with single. This is single lot property built, I think, in 2019 or 18. A nice house. The guy moved out, went somewhere. I was asking around, trying to get in touch. Looked him up, couldn't find his information. Very, very secretive. He had a really good talk to his neighbor. Turned out he had a really good friend that he was going to list his property with. The friend was going to help him do some cleaning out of it, things like that. Okay, that's crazy. And the friend hadn't sold very many houses. I looked it up. Basement has a pool dock, full dock. So that's another, basically, if you have the full dock, another $100,000 in cost. So it's a 1.25 house, easy all day long, every day, could sell very, very quickly. Guess what? They listed at 1.1. Winter contract in 24 hours. You know why? Because you underpriced it. Significantly now. You look back, why? The agent hasn't sold that many $1 million houses, any $1 million houses. And so that just cost him $150,000 to pick a friend to use instead of someone who knows what the heck they're doing. This is just one of the dozens of them I see every week. And this is the one that it makes me angry, because the problem is everyone makes this massive mistake. And so if you take anything away from today's show, the person you choose matters more than anything in the world. Just like a doctor, right? If I have a illness that's a life-threatening, and I'm diagnosed with some type of disease or illness that's life-threatening, the last thing I want is a friend doctor who's just, does some part-time medicine, right? Or the last thing I want is the doc in the box who is down the street that's, the local doctor's care or whatever it is, right? I don't want something like that. I want an absolute most amazing, obsessed doctor who specializes in that type of medicine to help save my life, right? It's the same thing you want with your largest asset. Same thing with an attorney. If I'm charged with a crime I didn't commit, the last thing I want is a part-time attorney who tried a few cases, or, right, the cheapest attorney. I want somebody who's the most absolute badass attorney who specializes in that type of law, who can win in the courtroom and give me a competitive advantage. So you need the same thing in the example of my neighbor, $150,000 example right there, that it cost them extra just in the pricing strategy. How do we know? Well, if it wasn't priced too low, it wouldn't have sold in the first 24 hours like that on the water. Right? You want to find that range where you give them time to come in to be able to drive the price up, to be able to price it right. But if it sells that quickly within a couple of hours, you definitely price it wrong, right? That's just how you know. Now, typically a sweet spot, if you sell it quickly or have a buyer in waiting, within a couple of days. But man, that's another example. Just like I told you guys, the other neighbor, they had a house 1.2, sold it 800 something thousand with some cold caller who underpriced it crazily. That person tore it down to build another house. It's just unbelievable how much that costs. Overall, right? And so that's what we're here to do, is educate people to get away from what they call that dumb tax, to help keep them from costing themselves so much money of their hard-earned equity. It takes so much to build, right? People spend 30 years building their hard-earned equity and 15 minutes picking an agent. And here's a crazy thing I've learned being in the business so long. No one really knows how to pick an agent. How do I know that? They never ask the good questions. The only question anyone ever asks when they call in is, how much do you charge? Which is not the right question. You can ask that part of that, but if that's the question you lead with, you don't even know what we offer, right? It could be anything. It could be 1%, 10%. How do you know what you're getting, right? they think that everyone's the same. And if you didn't think that, they wouldn't ask that question first, right? The question should be, what do you do differently? How can you get the most money? What type of process do you have that's different than everyone else? What type of money could you give me for my property? Those are the questions that you want to ask. And so we want this show to educate people to understand one thing. The most important decision is the agent you choose. And so what I realized is that the marketplace is broken. The average agent, like I mentioned, sells less than 4 homes per year. You just heard the data. 84% of agents hasn't sold a single house in the United States between January 1st this year and July 6, 2026. Amazing. That's crazy, right? And so that's the challenge that people run into. And this is a big high ticket item with a long sales cycle. So when I got in, I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way. The problem is the business is broken. One agent does everything A to Z. They do the many cases, right? The pricing strategy, the photos, they put it MLS, do the schedules, showings, do the feedback, they do the negotiation, do the closing coordination. They're also working with buyers out there, showing 15, 20 buyers properties. And so what you end up having is the same person McDonald's in their front register, the drive-thru and the French fries at the same time, very inefficient, and they can't master anything, which is why you saw this example. It costs a person in the street from $150,000. That's a lot of money that you could go to your bottom line if you make the right decision and think through the process. And so I designed this system that's called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells homes twice as fast and 21% more money than traditional methods. And it works amazingly well, right? It's backed up by two main things: a large team of people who are experts in what they do, who are fanatical about making sure they execute the highest level. So we have a team of specialists versus someone who's a generalist who's just trying to do everything and they're mastering nothing. And we back it up with technology, which is step-by-step technology that makes sure everything gets handled, nothing slips through the cracks, is handled at the highest level through the entire process. Now with AI, we've really added that on a lot, which makes sure it's even better. And so that Guaranteed Sold System sells the property faster and for more money. When you have 20 plus buyers agents making 14,000 phone calls a week, we can move the needle and sell the property faster and get you more money in your pocket. And that's exactly what we do. And so if you want to know more how it works, guess what? I did a documentary exposing the whole industry, exposing the problem in real estate, exposing how people like that example cost their client $150,000 and what they do. And I put that documentary online. It's at blakesloan.com. And I want you to go watch it this weekend to check it out and say, look, what makes agents different? And I guarantee you, right, it's one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's how the industry works. It's how things are different. And it happens pretty much with real estate agents, with attorneys, with doctors, right? It makes a massive, massive difference when you're talking about service-based business and how well that person executes. And so if you want to watch it, go watch it right now at blakesloan.com. Also, save me in your phone. Save me as Blake Sloan Sold. 843-808-SOLD. Even if you don't need me right now, you're going to probably need somebody in the future, or your friend or relative or your coworker. You got to be an advocate and say, look, don't go with some part-time agent who costs you a lot of money. Hey, did you know that 84% of agents didn't even sell a house between January and July 6th this year? And so you got to call my buddy Blake, right? We sell a house every 18 hours. And so that's what we do differently, while we're ranked one of the top 1% North America and the #1 mega team here in Myrtle Beach. And so we're working all weekend. Give me a call, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break. Right back in a second with our brand new market update.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, thanks for joining me today. You know, a lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Hey, Sean, we have 3 unique, innovative options for home sellers right now. First, we have a program for maximum convenience, where I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars looking to buy homes at a fair price in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area. Or we have a program for maximum speed, where I can match your property up with over 100,000 plus active home buyers looking to buy properties here on the Grand Strand. Or 3, maximum value. We have a proven system that'll sell your home twice as fast and for 5 to 15% more money than traditional methods.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Parker. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. We offer several options for home sellers. It really takes away the stress.
That's right. If sellers in a time crunch, we can agree to sell it by a certain date, take cash for home, or even rent.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
We use our proven marketing plan to sell to the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Brand new market update. All kind of interesting stuff happening. I just did a big interview this week. I did 2 I did one for WMBF News this week about some data that came out from the Association of Realtors, and it's nuanced, right? It depends on what the timeline they use. I think they use June to June 2024, June 2025, June 2026. And at that period, you saw a significant decline of single family home sales, about 10%, especially if you group in new construction and resale. That story ran this week. We'll put it on our blog for you guys to see. You also probably check it out on WMBF website. I did another one that comes out next week for the Post and Courier about luxury home sales, about how Myrtle Beach has been very insulated, how we sold a bunch of luxury properties, and really where the buyers are coming from, what they're doing. You're seeing a significant amount of cash buyers who are coming in who aren't really affected by the level of interest rates. And so that's something that we'll kind of talk about next week's show if that does air. I mean, so that does get published. I spoke to the writer text me after the news article came out, WBF, and said, hey, ours runs next week. So that should be out. But really quick, just looking at the quick recap, and it all depends how you chop it up. It could be last month, which is month versus month, or you can do last 12 months, right? So we'll do month versus month, typically what we do. So if we got closed sales for resale homes of 11% year over year, which is good. Month versus month is down. But you compare July last year, July this year, up 11% when 1,088 houses sold, which is good, right? If you look at new construction, though, new construction, check this out, down 24%, which is crazy if you look at year over year. And some of that is nuanced too, because, like, for example, D.R. Horton and Beazer, the large builders, they don't put every sale in the MLS. Every one they see in the MLS, they may sell 3 off the MLS, right? Because a buyer sees that one, they end up not selling that particular model, they sell them something else, it never gets put in MLS. So that data is a little bit nuanced, but if you do all together, it shows a 1.9% decrease year over year, right? If you look at overall last 12 months of both those together, it's still at about 5%. So good news there overall. Looking at resale homes, we talked about the average price is up 5.3% year over year, which is good for that's also all property types. So we got single family year over year, single family resale up 6.4% year over year, which is good. Median price pretty much flat, identical flat, 0.0% change. $399,950 is right where the overall median price is. So that's something we're seeing there. Look at months of supply, how much months of supply is on the market right now. It's 5.0 months of single family homes, which is a seller's market technically, but it's right there on the verge of going to a buyer's market. Anything 6 months or more is what we call a buyer's market. Right now, we call it more of a neutral market, which is why you're seeing, right, average days on market right now is significant. So if you look at average days on market, it's 108 days for a property to sell. It has gone down. It was 110 last month, and then back early this year is 123. Now, here's the crazier part. About 48% of properties don't sell. So they get listed, and they actually go through a 6-month period, right? Whatever period is listed, and it does not sell. The owner either withdraws it or they extend it, right? So that's what you run into. If you look at the key numbers I watch are like showings per listing. This is where the business is math, right? And that's one thing that many of my coaches is that, look, numbers is the language of business. And you look at this, you understand it. The average showing per listing that the average MLS listing gets in our MLS is 3.4 showings per listing. That's down 8.1%. So showings are down 8% from where they were last year. The problem is it takes 12 showings to get a contract. So the average amount of time it takes showings, how many door swings is needed to get a contract? That's assuming you have good curb appeal, buyers like it, right? It doesn't have anything like smells or colors or anything that really turn people off. You're looking at 12 showings for a single family to get a contract. The average listing gets 3. You see the problem there, right? You need 4 times the amount of showings, not like double. You need 4 times the amount of showings. So think about that. The average listing gets 1/4 of the amount of showings needed to get a contract on their property. That's why people hate agents. That's why people don't like real estate. That's why people don't like working with realtors, because their results are just not there. And so that's why you need someone who, number one, knows the market, can advise you. Number two, has money they can put behind it. When they're selling 4 houses a year, they don't have money to eat with, much less spend on your behalf as a marketing dollar, right? Much less have time to call buyers or even have buyers, right? They wait to put the sign in the yard to be able to get a buyer, which is too late and it takes too long. And so that's a key thing I want you to understand there. From that standpoint, looking at condos, for resale condos, condo sales up 13.8% last month, which is great news. If you look at sales price for average sale price for condos, pretty much flat, down 0.5% at $258,000 even. Median sale price down 4.3% overall, right at $220,000. Same thing there with supply, 8.3 months of supply, which is significant, where it's actually a true buyer's market, right? So those buyers out there, they're coming in and they're having lots to choose from. I heard in sellers a little bit. We're seeing some condos where each new listing gets priced below the previous one, which is not a good place to be. Average days on market right now for condos, 125 days on average is what you're kind of running into. with that. If you look at the same exact math, the most important numbers I look at, showings per listing. The average listing gets 1.8 showings the entire time it's listed. One showing every 3 months in many cases. And you look at how many it take to get a contract, 8.4, which is crazy, right? And so if you look at that, that's a big difference where you need same exact thing. Average one needs 8.4. The average showings they get is 1.8. You need 4 times the amount of showings. So you're getting 1/4 the amount of showings you need to even get a contract. And that's assuming you have a great curb appeal. And so in some cases, you need 15, 20. So behind that, you need someone who can actually market, which makes a big difference for you. And that's something that once you kind of look at, understand there as well. So looking at overall micro market, which is the key numbers we'll talk about today. So looking at that, the biggest one, look at Myrtle Beach, right? We kind of dig in. It's the hardest one doing real estate on the radio because it's a lot of different areas, but it's one I get the most feedback and questions about. Closed sales in Myrtle Beach, the single kind of hub really, they pretty much lead the charge. So everything happens in Myrtle Beach. You see in other areas 2-3 months later because it's really the middle part. 29572, 29577. Sales last month pretty much flat. So last July 56, this year 56, which is crazy. If you look at prices though, median price last month down 9.9%. So you're starting to see that decline, right? We always know price a lagging indicator. So right now, last year median price 532,000. Right now 480. That's significant, right? You're talking about what's that? $50,000 difference right there just year over year in terms of equity. And so the average homeowner would be selling for $50,000 less than they did at the same time last year, which is crazy. All right. If you look at overall days on market right now, the average days on market in that center part is 130 days on market. This is for single family homes. If you look at inventory for sale, how many homes are selling, you've seen a lot more signs out there, right? Right now, 319 on the market versus 279 last year, up 14% from the same time last year overall. Condo sales last month, sales down 9.8%. Prices down 3.4%. So it went from 225 to 217 overall. Average days on market for a condo in the middle part of Myrtle Beach, right? 29577, 29572, 144 days. So that's significant, right? You're almost pushing 5 months right there just to get a condo sold, assuming that it actually gets sold, which is crazy. And so that's something you want to watch and see overall with that. If you look at last month, Myrtle Beach, sales up 3.8% for single family homes, which is great. Prices up 11%. So that's why I say it matters where the micro market is and why you need to look at that data. The median sale price last year, 544,000. This year, 609. So you're seeing a different type buyer looking for more of the shoulder areas. And so that's why you want to really dig into the micro market, have an agent who understands this because that data matters when you're picking strategy. Look at days on market, 117 days on market in North Myrtle Beach, which is 29582. It's down 10% from where it was last year. Inventory down 4.9%. So actually less homes in North Myrtle Beach for sale than there was last year, which is very rare right now. Condos in there up 12%, July versus July. Prices down 4%. So from 313 last year to 301 this year. Average days on market for condos in North Myrtle Beach is 123 days overall. In a Little River, home sales down 1.9%. Prices down 13%. A lot has to do with new construction too, right? Highway 9 area, the area you're kind of seeing there, significantly less inventory. Some builders are dropping prices, offering more incentives, things like that, which we've seen happen a lot. Days on market right now in Little River, 121 days on market for homes that actually do close. And there's a lot of those that do not sell. Carolina Forest, which is now 579 area, closed sales down 37%, which is crazy. So that's including new construction and resale. So that's something to watch out for. It went from 130 last July to 81 this July. Prices are holding strong, up 2.5% from 463 to 475. Days on market right now, 105 days on market. So not as much as most. And that number of sales being down also is tied to new construction. As you remember, they've been building like crazy last year. That building has slowed down a little bit, or is there just a little bit less inventory? And so that's something we'll kind of watch out for. Inventory of homes for sale. Inventory is down 12.7%, less homes for sale than there was last year. Into Loris and Longs. Last month in Loris and Longs, which is like 29568, 29569, sales down 12% for homes. Prices up 5.5%, which is great. 310,000 last year, 327 this year. The amount of days on market is actually selling faster, 115 days. Last year's 129, and the inventory is actually up 3.2% with 514 homes for sale. Conway area, 29526, 29527. Sales down this year in July, down 7.4%. Prices holding pretty much flat, up 1.6% from 310 to 315. There is a lot of new construction there. We've seen some neighborhoods where it's very hard for resale sellers because they're selling new construction down the street for less money and less money per square foot with a lot of builder incentives like basically closing costs, interest rate buy downs, things like that. And so that's something you want to watch out for as well as a home seller. Days on market in Conway right now, 121 days overall. In the Aner area, with that, sales up 66%, but that's a small number. It went from 12 to 20, right? So not a big difference there. Median sale price pretty much flat, up down 0.4% from 319 to 318, so not much there. Days on market, Aner 132 days overall. And looking at Surfside Beach, where I grew up, 29575. Closed sales down 22%, which is interesting. Usually I find North Myrtle Beach and Surfside are very similar, right? They're similar markets. They're kind of shoulder areas of Myrtle Beach. Median sale price up 3.7% from 418 to 434. Great news there. Average days on market, a little bit longer. 136 days on average sell a property there. Soxy area, sales down 27%. That again has to do with some new construction not being available like it was. Prices up 4%, which is good news. 366 to 381, more equity. 110 days on market, so selling pretty much fast. Last couple ones here, Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet. Sales last month up 1.4%. Prices down 1.9%. 481,000 down to 472. So what do you mean there? Well, you see Myrtle Beach, the center part typically leads. I think you're going to see some prices soften in fourth quarter. Why is that? We're a very interest rate driven marketplace right now. If the rates continue to go up and stay at or near 7%, guess what? Less buyers on there. Prices have to soften, right? There's going to be some type of correction. I don't think it's going to be major unless some more, major economic issues happen, which is very likely, very possible. But right now, you're just going to see that happen. The good news is we are very insulated. A lot of buyers coming in from out of the area and other stuff. If you look at new properties under contract last 7 days, check it out. That's what we call our front windshield numbers. The amount of properties under contract in the 7-day period since last week's show, down 8%, which is interesting. Last week's show, there's 523 properties under contract. This week, only 481. If you look at the amount of volume, which is like how many, under contract in terms of like actual sales price, last week, 193 million, this week, 174 million. That's a 10.2% drop just in 1 week. Well, what happened? Rates went up. They continue to go up. The closer you get to 7, the more of a halt the kind of housing industry gets to. The same thing's been happening. Some big time properties still under contract. 3.7 million in Pawleys Island. We're seeing that a lot down there, right? A cash deal down there. Another 2.25 million under contract in Pawleys Island. Another 2.1 million in Georgetown. Another Grand Dunes there at 1.59. Another right there in Myrtle Beach in the avenues over Long Bay, 1.599. Another Holly Drive, Myrtle Beach, 1.599. So some big time stuff. You look at the numbers, 11 properties over $1 million under contract last 7 days, 77 properties over 500,000 last 7 days. So some big time stuff still happening. And what's driving a lot of this? Well, the high end stuff, they're not worried about it. They have massive equity. A lot of those are cash deals. They're seeing they've got stock portfolios all time high. So there is that kind of K-shaped economy, two different types of buyers right now. Mortgage rates right now, 6.76%. Last week's show, 6.69, so up significantly. We just hit a new kind of recent high. 15-year fixed rate, 6.3. A jumbo loan right now for 30-year, 6.87. A 30-year FHA loan, 6.3%. And a 30-year VA loan, 6.33%. So 2 minutes left. I want to get something really quick. Hot buyers alert. We have 84,311 active home buyers right now looking to buy properties just like yours. The difference between me and everyone else, I spend 6 figures a month in marketing to drive massive amounts of traffic from all over the globe. And so we have buyers in waiting looking for property just like yours. So if you're thinking about selling, reach out, call us, 843-808 sold, and get at least one success story in. John and Tina owned a house in Conway. They were getting older, decided it was ready for them to have a lifestyle change. They were tired of worrying about the constant maintenance, chores, upkeep, came owning home. Instead, they wanted to move to an independent living community where they can enjoy more of a carefree lifestyle, meet new people, spend their time doing what they actually enjoyed. First, they considered selling to an investor directly. They realized they were only offering pennies on the dollar, and they wanted to get top dollar for their house. They also wanted some convenience, sell it pretty quickly. Thankfully, a friend of Tina's referred myself, Blake Sloan, and Sloan Realty Group to them. We met with John and Tina, showed them exactly what buyers in waiting. We get the best of both worlds, sell it quickly, and get them max amount of money for it, especially homes with no HOA, right? Instead of selling for some low investor offer, I designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic. Just a few weeks, John and Tina received a fantastic offer in their home. They're absolutely blown away. Negotiated the property to be sold completely as is and aligned with their move into the new community where they have to worry about stuff. And so that's something we're able to do. Instead of giving huge amounts of their equity away to some investor or letting it sit there forever with some realtor with no results, they got the best of both worlds. So if you want that same best of both worlds, reach out, call me, 843-808 sold or blakesloan.com. Again, saving your phone. You may not need me now, but you may need me in the future. 843-808 sold or blakesloan.com. We see you back here same time next week.